How much money can you actually make from EV chargers? In this video, I'm breaking it all down from real world numbers that you can expect in the first few months to what you're looking at long term. If you're serious about building a new income stream, you're going to want to see these numbers. Before we dive in, my name's Trevor and I helped launch 2 successful EV charging startups. Both of those businesses are still rocking and still bringing in a ton of money. And I go into this in a lot more detail in a step-by-step guide in my course below. So check that out if you want the exact game plan. Okay, so just going back to figuring out the profits and how much money you can make from starting an EV charging business, there's a few things we need to know to be able to calculate this because there's lots of different moving parts and there's certain things that you need, certain pieces of information that you need to gather to put together to be able to calculate how much money you're going to make. So let's just visualize a scenario here. Let's say you started your own EV charging business, you landed your first project, and I always just use the basic example of, let's say, a coffee shop, right? So it's a coffee shop, it's downtown in the city on a really busy street, let's say Main Street. You're in a pretty progressive green city like mine. There's lots of EVs around, so it's not a foreign concept and there's a pretty high demand. Because this is our first project, we're just going to start with one level 2 EV charger. Usually if you're going to do a project, you kind of want to aim for at least 2 because, the install cost isn't double. If you go from one EV charger to 2, it's not going to double in price. It might just increase by 25-50% because a lot of the work is already done. It's just the extra materials. But to keep things simple for our calculation, because it's our first project, we're just getting started. We're just going to put one level 2 EV charger in there. So we're going to look at this as hardware investment and the install, right? So let's say the hardware and also including the software, like the app and everything, let's say that was $1,000. You can get these installed for $2,000 in some rare cases, but they can also, be quite expensive, like 10, 20, it can go way up depending on a bunch of things I won't go into right now, like digging up all the concrete and everything. We're just going to focus on the profits, but let's say it cost us $5,000 to install our charger. So what do we need to know to calculate our profits? Okay, so there's a few things. One, we need to know how long people are charging on average each day at our location, at our level 2 charger. And this is called the utilization rate, or how much the charger is being used. And I would say, a pretty safe bet is to say 4 hours a day. Now, these level 2 chargers aren't used usually to charge a car from, fully empty to fully powered up. It would just take quite a bit of time. These chargers are usually used just to top cars up when they're out and about. So let's say, there's 2 cars, they both use the charger for 2 hours a day. That's 4 hours. That's nothing. And this is today. And this was even 2 years ago. These were the utilization rates we were getting. I'd say at a good location, if it's busy during the workday, there's no reason why you can't get up to 8 hours. And, in the near future, I'd say in the next 5 years, you might have those things running 12 hours a day. For our example, we chose a prime location. Like this spot is busy. People love this coffee shop. They're always coming by. Some people are staying there for the whole day working. There's a mall right beside. There's a movie theater. This is like one of the best spots. We got really lucky with this location. So we're going to say our utilization rate is 8 hours per day. So utilization is the first factor. The second factor is we need to know what our output of the charger is. So how much electricity is being pumped out of the charger. Usually these chargers, I won't go too much into the technicality side of, amps and breakers and all the calculation, but we're just going to average it out and say that our charger has a 7 kilowatt per hour output, which is probably what you're going to get it's usually between 6.7 kilowatt per hour and 7.7 kilowatts, but we're just going to keep the numbers simple here and say 7. And the third biggest thing to know is the cost of electricity in your area. And this is one of the biggest things that's going to influence if your business is profitable or not. And it's how much money you can make off reselling the electricity in your area. So in this case, we're lucky enough to make 25 cents in profit per kilowatt. So that's 25 cents times that 7 kilowatts times our 8 hours utilization. So we're lucky enough to be making 25 cents in profit per kilowatt hour. So for our prime spot example, we're making 25 cents times 7 kilowatts is $1.75 in profit per hour from our one EV charger. And as I said, our utilization per day is 8 hours. So 8 times that $1.75 in profit means we'll be making a profit of $14 a day from our one EV charger. Now, it's not going to be consistent. It's not going to be 14 even every day. It's going to fluctuate based on, you can imagine 100 different reasons, busier on the weekends, busier at certain times of the day. But we're just going to use an average of $14 a day for our prime location. Now, times that $14 by 365 days a year, that's going to get us over $5,000 in profit per year from our one EV charger. So in our prime spot example, we made just over $5,000 in profit from our one EV charger. It also cost us $5,000 to install. So we broke even in a year, but it gets better. Where this spot is, where our location is located in a city that has pretty high incentives that are offered from the government for rebates to pay back for these EV charging projects. So we were lucky to get 50% of our project paid for. So we're breaking even in 6 months. And that's today. That's not even including the growth that the market's going to see over the next 5 years. As I said, in my city, EV sales doubled the last 5 years. So, you could make the comparison and say that your profit might double. It's not technical business math there, but you could look at it that way. And many people say that electricity costs are going to increase with, more demand on the electrical grid. So with those price increases, it could also mean more profits too. So back to our question, is this something that could make me some passive income on the side? Yeah, definitely. Once these chargers are set up, they're pretty autonomous. They don't require a whole lot of oversight. You can't just leave them to the wind and hope they work forever, but you're not going to have to look at them and monitor them and keep an eye on them all day, every day to make sure that they're working. You will have to put effort into creating the business and laying the foundation, which does take a long time. But once you do get everything going off the ground, then they are kind of like little bank machines that are just going to be making you money every day. But as I said, you need to know what you're doing and need to know what to look out for, because this prime spot location could also turn into a nightmare location if you don't know what to look out for and you choose a spot with the wrong features, like a super expensive install, no demand in the area, and no profit to be made on the electricity. Next thing you know, you're losing money. So that's why knowing the game before you jump in is the most beneficial thing. And knowing the game is what I'm here to help you with. So if you have questions about starting your own EV charging business, feel free to give me a shout and I'm happy to help. Reach out and send me an email at contact@strongenergy-ev.com. And as always, I'd love if you were to subscribe to the channel and keep following the journey. Thanks so much for checking in, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.